Hi, I'm Sharath Ambadas from WebSphere CastIron team. I'm part of the development team in India, and today I'll be talking about overview of WebSphere CastIron, what CastIron is, and what are the new things we have done in version 6.1, which got released in September 2011. And I'll also be showing a slide demo for CastIron Express and how to develop a new connector using the connector development kit, which is available as part of the CastIron tooling. So this is the agenda for this session. Now I'm going to CastIron overview. See, when you take an enterprise company, a company can have any number of, it will be using many number of applications like cloud-based applications, on-premise applications. On-premise in-house applications, it can have proprietary databases and other enterprise systems like SAP, Siebel, or PeopleSoft. It will also be using cloud-based SaaS-based applications like Salesforce, NetSuite, Taleo. So for successful integration and working of the company, there is a definite need to integrate the on-premise in-house applications with the cloud-based applications. Because when you take an example, for example, when you take Salesforce and SAP, the customer master records are available in SAP inside the company. And if the marketing people or the sales people who are distributed worldwide, if they want to access the data present in SAP, either they have to connect securely or they have to access it in a different way. Suppose if you use Salesforce, which is accessed from a browser, if you use Salesforce which is accessed from a browser and integrate Salesforce with SAP, then the customer records are we can synchronize the customer records from SAP with that with Salesforce account records, and the people worldwide, people who are distributed, the sales and marketing people, they can access the customer information by just accessing Salesforce from a browser. So that way it's very helpful. Coming to what CastIron is. CastIron is an integration platform used for integrating on-premise applications with off-premise applications. It's mainly used for integrating cloud-based with on-premise applications. We can also integrate both on-premise to on-premise integration, and there are some the main selling points for CastIron are the simplicity and the ease with which we can develop a solution in CastIron. That is the main selling point in CastIron, and I'll be talking like how we can achieve the simplicity and ease of developing the solution more in the further slides. I'm moving to the next slide. So in this slide, we talk about the total connectivity in CastIron. CastIron provides connectivity to a number of applications, like example SAP, all RDBMS databases, Siebel, PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, file system, MQ, JMS. It also provides connectivity to a number of cloud-based applications like Salesforce, NetSuite, Taleo, Salesforce Bulk API, and we can use CastIron to connect to any SaaS-based application which is exposed as a HTTP or web service. So we can use CastIron to connect to any cloud-based application which is exposed as a HTTP or a web service. And CastIron is available in 4 form factors. That means you can deploy your solution and run it in 4 different ways. I'll be talking each of these ways in detail now. The first one is the physical appliance. CastIron Data Power Physical Appliance, which is XH40. This is the physical appliance where everything is pre-built, and we need to just plug in the appliance and so that it is up and running. You can and you can use it. That is the physical appliance. It has better performance. The second one is the virtual appliance. The virtual appliance is hypervisor edition, where we use the software and you use that software to create a virtual machine using your virtualization technologies like VMware or Zen platform. So that is the virtual appliance where you install the software and on a virtual machine and use it. The third option is WebSphere CastIron Live. CastIron Live is a cloud solution where CastIron is running on the cloud, and users have to subscribe. Means you have to buy the license, subscribe for a license for a particular period of time on the endpoints which they need, and they can develop their solution and deploy it on CastIron, which is running on the cloud. User need not worry about the hardware or the load or those kind of things. He has to just buy the license and they can start using. That is the WebSphere CastIron Live, which is running on cloud. The fourth option is the CastIron Express. This was added in the current latest release 6.1. This is also a cloud-based solution, and we can develop solutions completely on it. Again, I will be talking in detail about CastIron Express, and how is it different from WebSphere CastIron Live. So since both are cloud-based solutions, both run on the cloud, and I'll be talking about the difference between CastIron Express and WebSphere CastIron Live. So we can. So these are the four form factors on which you can run your CastIron solution. In the previous slide, I talked about the simplicity and ease with which you can develop a solution. So when you look at there is something called templates, template integration process. So these tips are we can create these tips in CastIron using which you can develop your solution very easily and very fast. I know customers who are using who develop their solutions in a matter of days and deploy in their production environment. So these templates are, so once you develop a solution, you convert that solution into a template, so that you can convert the solution into a template, and you can upload to the template repository, which is the tip repository, using the CastIron community license. So before they get uploaded, IBM certifies that template for that particular integration scenario, and once IBM certifies, the template is available in the tip repository. So any user who want to develop a solution, and he can go and search for these templates in this tip repository, and he can download those templates and use it. There is no special license to use those templates. With the existing CastIron license, he will get a community username password, using which he can go and search for these templates in the template repository. He can download the templates which he needs, and he can start using. There are around 300 templates currently available in the template repository. These templates are available for the commonly used endpoints, and also for all the standard objects for each of these endpoints. So with these templates and tips, the development is very, very fast. So as I told earlier, CastIron integration platform. What all we can do as part of this integration? There are three things. One is data migration. Suppose if you want to migrate your data from a legacy application or from a in-house application to a cloud-based application, then if you from your legacy application to a new application, then you can use CastIron for data migration, where you want to migrate your millions of records into your new application. That is data migration. You can also do process integration, where you can define your logic using if conditions, while loops, for loops, and also define your logic. That is one thing. And another thing is the UI mashups. UI mashups is the CastIron. In CastIron, you can develop. Means once you can get data from multiple endpoints and mash up the data into a single XML or into a single HTML format, and use that XML or HTML and display it in your browser-based UI. Suppose if you want to display your data in Salesforce custom UI, where you want to get data from multiple endpoints, for example, you want to get data from CBEL or SAP, integrate into a single report and display in your UI, in your browser UI. Then you can achieve that thing. You can construct the XML or you can construct the HTML and then display directly in your UI. That is, so you can do the UI mashups as well with the CastIron. So coming to more features in CastIron, as I said earlier, we have multiple deployment models which we discussed. Another thing is the batch processing, where some of the connectors, right, they provide batch processing. That means we can do more than one record at a time. So we can enable that option, and how many records we want to do in one batch, and you can do batch processing. There is also called data quality. Data quality is use some kind of analytics where if you are migrating data or if you are doing some processing and you want to do some kind of filtering or some kind of sorting, you can do those using data quality. We also have a management API. Management API is where you can manage your appliance, the physical appliance or the virtual appliance. Using management API, you can, which is a web service. Management API is a web service API, using which so you need to programmatically from a web service client you can manage your physical appliance. So you can deploy your solution, which is a project. You can deploy your project. You can start your project. You can stop your project. You can upgrade your appliance, and you can install libraries. You can do many things using this management API. Also, we have the concept of high availability, where in case of physical appliance, this is available for physical appliance, where we have another backup appliance which acts as a passive appliance, and when one appliance, the running appliance, goes down for some reason, the backup appliance starts up and starts from the point where the earlier appliance was running. So there is high availability support in physical appliance. In case of CastIron Cloud, CastIron Live, which is the cloud form factor, you need not worry about high availability or those things, because the CastIron, the IBM takes care of availability of multiple run CastIron, and if you deploy, as the load increases, as the number of tenants increase, provisioning more hardware or all those things is completely taken care by IBM. So there is something called Web Services API Gateway, where you can create, you can have web services as a provider service. You can expose your in-house applications as using web service, where you can develop it as a web service provider, so that external users outside your firewall, they can invoke those web services and access your internal applications. So we can also have Web Services API Gateway support in CastIron. Moving to the next slide. In this slide, there is no so another important simplicity means I told the effort needed to develop a solution in CastIron is very less. It's just a matter of days. In a couple of days, you can develop your solution. There is no coding effort at all needed to develop a solution. It's completely UI driven, and it's just drag and drop. You just drag your what you want to do and construct your solution and directly deploy it onto your solution. The project, once you develop in one, the same project can be deployed in a physical appliance or a virtual appliance or a cloud-based application. So there is no difference between physical appliance, virtual appliance, or a cloud-based. That is the thing. So we have three form factors, like physical appliance, virtual appliance, and the CastIron Live. So which form factor, when you want to go for which form factor? Multiple factors play, there are multiple factors which play a role in this. It depends upon what exactly you want to do. Suppose if you want to integrate two cloud-based applications, and both these applications are running in the cloud, then you can go for a cloud-based solution, cloud-based CastIron solution, where you can use CastIron Live. Suppose you want to integrate both in-house applications which are running within your enterprise, then you can go for a physical appliance. Another thing is, suppose you already have the required hardware and you have the virtualization technologies like VMware in your enterprise, then you can go for a virtualization environment, virtual appliance, which is a hypervisor edition, because you already have the required hardware and the support for virtualization. Another thing which plays role is if you have it depends upon the size of the data you are processing. If suppose you are processing with large data like 1 MB or more MBs of data, then you better go for a physical appliance where the performance is better when compared to virtual appliance or a cloud-based solution. So, and there are some other points which is displayed in the slide. You can go through that. That is so based on this you can decide which form factor you want to go with. Okay, now I'll be talking more about what we have done in the latest release and also about what is CastIron Express and what is the connector development kit. In some of the important things we did in version 6.1 is the first one is Zen platform support, which is open source virtualization technology. Similar to VMware, which is not open source. So Zen platform is another open source virtualization technology. So CastIron can run with that Zen platform as well. That is one thing. Another thing is the physical appliance we have upgraded to the latest version, which is Data Power 9005 1-unit platform, and it provides some enhanced performance, encrypted disk, and hot swap disk drives, and user notification of intrusion, those kind of support. So the hardware also is upgraded to the latest for better performance. A number of features were added to some of the connectors like Cbel, Salesforce, SAP, Talio, and I'll be talking about that in detail. When we take Cbel, before version 6.1, we were supporting only integration objects. So from version 6.1, we added support, and the integration was done using before 6.1 we were connecting to Cbel using HTTP. From version 6.1 onwards, we use the Java data bean API, and we support not only integration objects but also business object, business component, and also business services. So we can do both inbound and outbound using this Cbel connector. So we have 8 activities currently available, and you can see those list of 8 activities. Oracle CRM on demand is a new connector which was added in version 6.1. This is a type 2 connector. Which is available in the plugin repository, and it is not available in CastIron Studio. By default, you need to download it, and you can use it. Once you get the regular CastIron license, you can download this type 2 or the plugin connectors and start using it. It has 5 activities like for CRUD operations and other things. This is a new connector which was added. Also, some improvements were done for Domino connector. Earlier, there was no support for binary attachments, which is the rich text type. So that support was added, and also for querying documents, querying based on wildcard characters, querying based on while names. Suppose I want to retrieve all employees whose last name is some James, so I can retrieve all the employees from a Domino database using this query, and I can display that. Also, some important currency support for Salesforce and NetSuite were added. Salesforce is upgraded to the latest version 22. And NetSuite also is upgraded to the latest 2011_1 version. And some improvements were done for SAP, Talio, and also web services. Security header support is added, which was not there earlier. Okay. Another important thing which was added in version 6.1 is the connector development kit. Connector development kit is a wizard in CastIron Studio, using which you can user or customer can develop a new connector. This connector can be developed for any application which is exposed as a HTTP or a web service, and whose data model is XML. Means XML will be XML is the data model, and the application should expose as a HTTP or HTTPS or web service. I'll be talking more about in detail about this connector development kit when I show the demo using the slides. And in this there is no coding effort. It's completely drag and drop, and you should be able to develop your connector in a matter of weeks. You can just develop your connector in a couple of weeks, like just 3 to 4 weeks of time, and depending upon how many activities you want to add. Another important thing which we added is the CastIron Express, which is again cloud-based solution for CastIron. So coming to the difference between CastIron Express and CastIron Live. CastIron Live is CastIron Express is a completely browser-based. You develop your solution on the browser. Means you log in from a browser, you develop your solution on the browser, and also manage your like start and stop from your browser. This is much simplified. That is one important thing. And currently it supports Salesforce integration between Salesforce databases and file system FTP, where you can pull data from Salesforce or to a database and vice versa. Similarly for FTP. That's one thing. And again, I'll be talking about in detail when I go for the demo for CastIron Express. And okay, another important support of it's a plugin. It's not by default available in CastIron. This is another important add-on plugin which was added in CastIron in version 6.1.02 is the hybrid cloud integration, where user need to download these plugins, the service management pack from version 6.1.02. They can download these things and start using it. So what is hybrid cloud integration? Currently, when you take the Tivoli software like TSAM and other Tivoli products, they are used for monitoring, managing, provisioning your hardware and software for applications within your enterprise. So you have a data center and you can do using the Tivoli software. You can manage and provision everything within your inside your enterprise. So by installing this plugin on top of CastIron 6.1.02, what you can monitor, provision, you can do all those things for the cloud-based thing as well, to manage your cloud-based applications and also the hardware as well. So your applications and hardware they are running on the cloud, you can monitor and manage those things as well. So you can see, you can do again data synchronization is possible. If you want to synchronize your directory and manage only with your on-premise LDAP directory, you can do that. You can also do monitoring of your managing and provisioning of your public cloud. All you can do using this hybrid cloud solution. So I'm moving to the demo, CastIron Express demo. First I'll be showing CastIron Express demo, and then I'll be moving to the connector development kit demo. CastIron Express. CastIron Express is a browser-based solution where user can log in there is a 60-day trial period where user can create a trial account and start using it. So once you enter your username, password, and log in into CastIron, this is the screen you see where you can see some videos and with the tutorials like how to develop a solution on CastIron Express. So if you want to develop a new solution, there is an integrations button on the top of the in the top. So when you click that, a new integration thing will come up, and you can start creating an integration solution. Also, when you look at in the side, there is something. There is secure connector. This secure connector is you can create a new secure connector by giving a name to it. Just click on it and create a new secure connector, and we can download the secure connector and install on inside your enterprise within your firewall. So if you want to connect to any of these databases or FTP server, if they are running within your firewall, within your enterprise, you need to install this secure connector within your enterprise and start running it. So the first thing, suppose in this demo, what I'm doing is I'm pulling data from Salesforce. I'm listening for create whenever an account object is created in Salesforce. I get the, I listen for those events, I get the data and create a record in a DB2 database. So the first thing for that, what we need to do is, we need to create a secure connector. So first create a name, just create a new secure connector. When you click on the create a new secure connector and download it, download a secure connector. It's just a software you install within your enterprise, and once you install it, you can just start it using the script command, using the bash file or the script shell script, and you can start the secure connector. Once you have the secure connector up and running, the next step is creating your integration solution. So click on the integration button on the top. You can see the source and target. Select what is your source. In this case, I am selecting Salesforce as my source endpoint, and for the target endpoint, I am selecting DB2. So when I select my target endpoint, this is the view which I get. I get a source, which is the first thing, then the target, which is the second thing, and the third one is the transformation. So I also need to give the integration name, and I click on save button to save it. So I give the integration name. Now to develop a solution in Express, it's a 3-step process. First, I need to configure my source, I need to configure my target, and the third one is I need to do the mapping transformation. So first we will do is configure your source. So I just create a new Salesforce endpoint. I enter my username, I enter my password, and I enter my security token, and there is a connect button in the bottom. Just click the connect button. It validates the connection. It connects to Salesforce, validates it, and displays the list of objects available in Salesforce. So you select an object. In this example, I am selecting account, and once I select the account object, the list of fields are displayed. I can see the list of fields available. You can select if you require all the fields or not. And once you do that, you can click done. When you click done, that is the end of your configuring your source endpoint. So I configured my source endpoint. The next one is the step 2, which is configuring your target. So when you click on target, you need to configure your target. So just again in this case also create a new endpoint and enter the connection details, database name and other details, port number, username, password. And in the beginning I told, right, to connect to any database or anything which is running within your firewall, you need to create a secure connector. I created the secure connector and I am selecting that secure connector name here. And when I click connect, the connection is established with the database, and it displays the database structure. It displays the list of databases. So when I select a database, in this case, it displays the schemas under that. And when I select the sample, which is a schema, account is my table name. So I select account. When I select account, it displays the list of fields available in. It displays the list of fields in the things, and you select the fields what you want. When you click done, the configuring my target is done. So I have configured my source endpoint, I have configured my target endpoint, and you can see the object and the list of fields under each of this object. Now the next thing is you need to do the mapping. So mapping is just drag the field and drag and drop each of the fields and onto the target, so that the mapping is done. Just drag it and drop onto the thing. So you can, as part of this mapping, you can also do some simple processing, like if there are a set of built-in functions available. Using these built-in functions, you can configure. Suppose you want to do concatenate. You can club 2 fields into a single field and drop onto the thing. In this example, I'm just clubbing 2 fields as an example using concatenate function and copying onto the target field. So once your mapping is done, just save the integration solution. Just save it, and you have your solution ready. And you can see what is the status of the integration project, whether it is stopped running or whether if you want to delete the integration solution. Currently it is stopped, and I can start it. So my integration project is currently running, which listens for new account events from Salesforce and creates them in the DB2. So my project is running. Now next step is I log into Salesforce, and I log into Salesforce, and I'll create a new account object so that an event gets generated. So I enter some details for account. I fill in the details, and when it receives the event, account is you can see the account it's logging as when a job has been processed by this integration solution, and you can see the details. So the account gets created in the DB2 database. So this is how you develop a solution in CastIron Express. So it is much simpler when compared to the regular thing. There is only source, target, and transformation, and this is completely browser based, and it's a point-to-point integration, and it doesn't have any process logic like if conditions, while loops, or for loops. Currently, it's just a point-to-point integration. So this is the end of CastIron Express demo. Now I'll be showing Connector Development Kit demo. As I told earlier, Connector Development Kit is a wizard inside CastIron Studio, which is the tooling environment, and this is used for developing new connectors in CastIron, and for applications which support HTTP and web service and XML as the data model. And there is no coding involved. It's completely drag and drop and wizard driven. So if you wanted to in this example, in this demo slide demo, I'll be showing I'll be creating a new connector which has one activity in it, and it is used for that activity is for it takes input 2 numbers and adds those 2 numbers and gives the output. So open your Studio, file new, and create a new connector project, which is a CDK connector type project. So create a new project, and you can see the connector wizard coming. Enter your what is your connector name, the description, version. You also need to select your WSDL file or the schema file. You also need to select your WSDL file or the schema file, which is used for your map input and output. So you select your WSDL file. I'm selecting my WSDL, which has the schemas for my activity. I select the WSDL, and I click the next button to display, to add the properties which are needed to establish my connection. For my connector, since this is just a sample connector, I will not be using these connection properties or to establish a real connection. But I'll just enter some values. Here there are username, password, and I can create by using these buttons. I can create, I can add more fields, and which are used for creating, configuring my endpoint. So I'll select the thing. I can do some validation as well, and I can create my endpoint panel by entering the values here. The next step is you need to add your activities. How many activities does my connector support? Those things. So each of these activities, I just in this example, I'm just adding one activity, and I'll configure that activity. So you can add the number of activities which you need, and whether the activity is discoverable, whether you want to do some discovery as part of that activity, and whether it takes discovery is to configure your activity before you deploy things, and what is the input to my activity, what is the output to my activity, whether it has both input and output, those things. And also I'll select the input and output schema structure. In this case, I am selecting from the WSDL I browsed and selected two schemas, which is add numbers, which is the input, and add numbers response is my output. So once I select that and click the next button, it asks whether to generate the artifacts. When I click yes, it generates the artifacts, and you are done with your wizard. So your wizard is run, and it generates some of the artifacts, which I'll be talking again in the next slides. So the wizard is complete, and it generates some artifacts. You can see these things. So when you look at things, it created one is a test connection, which is used to validate your test connection, and there are also another orchestration for adding the numbers. These are the two backend orchestrations which you need to configure. They are the templates currently which get generated, and if you want to do any business logic in these orchestrations, you need to fill up the logic, and then your connector is ready. So the test connection is. So in this example, I've opened the test connection orchestration, and I want to configure it. What I'll do is I'll just return the response saying that my test connection is success always, because I'm for adding numbers I'm not using any connecting to anywhere. So I'll just return a response saying that my test connection is always success. And also, suppose if you in this example, so as part of this, you want to, as part of the test connection, suppose you want to connect to an application which is exposed as HTTP. You need to create an HTTP endpoint and put the logic inside this inside this orchestration, test connection orchestration, which actually establish a connection to that HTTP application and checks whether the connection is connection is valid or not. So you need to put that logic between this provider and response. So where you actually connect to the HTTP using the HTTP connector, which is available in CastIron, and then establish and send the response back. So once I configure my test connection, the next one is add numbers. So for add numbers, I'll open the add numbers orchestration which got generated, and I need to add the business logic to that. Similarly, like how we did for test connection, suppose here I am adding two numbers. I just I selected my input right in the wizard, so I just add those two numbers and pass it to the result. Since this is a simple example, I just it's direct. In a real scenario, you need to fill in the logic. So suppose if you are connecting to a HTTP endpoint, you create an HTTP endpoint, and using that endpoint you put the logic. Suppose you want to create something, use the HTTP put option or HTTP post option, and put the logic inside that, and do a post and get the response and send it back to the thing. So once you develop your the backend orchestrations, test connection and add numbers, then your orchestrations are ready, and you can validate those things as well. As part of this connector thing, you can unit test each of your backend orchestrations. Just click each of the test connection or add numbers, and right click and on the first starter activity, and there is an option invoke service. Just when you right click, we get the invoke service. Just select invoke service, and we get a pop-up where you can test your orchestration. You fill up the input needed for your thing is generated. You fill in the input. And when you click on the execute button, the response is generated. And you can also see the flow in the verify tab as well. So like that, you can verify unit test each of your backend orchestrations. So I have developed my I have used the wizard, generated the artifacts, then which consists of some template orchestrations. I have filled in the logic into my backend orchestrations, and I have also done unit testing for each of my backend orchestrations. So once you have done your orchestrations, the next step is you publish your project so that you can use it as a separate new connector. So there is the option publish connector to the local repository, where the connector gets published into your local repository in your file system where your studio is running. So when you click that option, then your connector is deployed in the local repository, and you can see that a new endpoint has been added to your endpoint panel. When you can see a new connector called add number connector which gets added. So this is a new connector got added, and if I want to test it, which is the integration testing, I'll just create a new project, and you can see I created a new endpoint add number connector. I fill in some details and have done test connection. I create an orchestration, drag and drop the add number onto the activity onto the thing, fill in the input and outputs. I select the endpoint, fill in the inputs, and I will do the verify orchestration. I can see the response coming properly. So I can do this is like I am using my new connector which I developed in a separate project. So this is how you develop a connector and use it in your solution. Some other things are, you can export your connector, means the connector which you developed, you can export it, the add number connector which I can export it and save it as a file. I can export it and save it as a file and to a file system, and I can also do import connector, where from a file system I can import the connector as well. I can import the connector as well. And another important thing is the connector development. It's not a SDK. It's completely UI driven and available for applications which are exposed as WSDL, REST, and XML over HTTP. By default, the CDK connectors or the type 2 projects, the type 2 connectors, they are not available in Studio. By default, they are not available. So when you get the regular CastIron license to develop your solutions, you get the some community credentials for accessing the community, CastIron community. Using that community, you can connect to the plugin repository and download this type 2 or the plugin connectors. Like for example, we have the Salesforce bulk API connector, Right Now connector, connector for Oracle CRM on demand. All these are type 2 connectors and develop using this wizard. So you can download it and use it in your studio. Yeah, this is the end of my presentation.